Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be making a crazy brass sample for somebody like Wheezy. The sample I'm going to be breaking down today is from a sample pack that I just dropped called Slat Volume 5. And if you're familiar with any of the other Slat sample packs that I've put out, you'll know it's in the style of like YSL, Wheezy, Young Thug, Palace, with a lot of bells, flutes, pads, stuff like that. Really dark, really ambient, and the samples are all fire, placement ready, and unique. So I'll put a link down in the description if you're interested in that. As usual, I'm going to go through and break everything down in the sample, from the MIDI to the VSTs to the effects. So hopefully you guys learned something new or take something away. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and let's get right into it. Alright, so as you can see, I have the final sample pulled up here. We're sitting at 130 BPM and the final sample is in F sharp. And as you can see, I pitched the final sample down from G sharp to F sharp. So I pitched it down 2 semitones at the very end. So everything I'm going to be showing you guys is going to be in G sharp, and I was also making the sample in 118 BPM. So at the very end, I pitched it down from G sharp to F sharp and then sped it up from 118 BPM to 130. Usually with like Wheezy style, brass style melodies, they're usually slower. I'm gonna go ahead and play the final sample so you guys can hear how it sounds. And then as usual, go through and break everything down that I did to make it. The first thing that I did obviously is the brass. I have this preset pulled up, Bright Section from Session Horns Pro, just a really good brass preset. Made the simple chord right here, and then I just copied that over, and then I put the root note from G sharp to A. So as you can see, all these notes right here went from G sharp to A, and then I added this note at E just to fill it up a little bit more. Then I just added these 2 filler chords in between, and then I added this chord at the end, and then I changed the chord at the end to sound a little bit different than this one. I'm gonna go ahead and play how that sounds just by itself. And then for the effects, I just have an EQ taking out a lot of the low end, some of the high end. RC20 to make it sound more vintage or vinyl. A hollow vintage verb for some reverb, and then another EQ to take out even more of the low end. And then this preset from Thermal that just adds a little bit of distortion and delay. I have the first part half-timed. And then for the second part without the halftime. The next thing that I did is I found this key from Analog Lab and I just layered it with the brass. It's literally just G sharp pitched up an octave from G sharp to A, and then from A to B. Just like the brass, I changed the end from B to F sharp and then just copy that over. So I'll go ahead and play how that sounds. And like I said, I wanted to layer that with the brass, so I added halftime, kind of make it more like in the background, and then a lot of reverb from this plugin right here. It just adds a more unique reverb and a little bit of delay, again, to have it like in the background so it blends with the brass. The next thing that I added is this accent right here, and this accent's just a one-shot from a one-shot pack. I forget which kit it's from, but all I did is I brought it in, I made sure it fit the time of the sample, so I made sure I fit it to the grid, and then I pitched it to make sure it fit the key of the sample. Added some effects to it. I put an EQ to take out the low and the high end. Again, I use this plugin to add a unique reverb, and then a shaver box to pan it back and forth. And that literally just repeats throughout the whole sample. So the next thing that I did is I added this lead from Analog Lab. To me, this is what makes the sample stand out as a little bit more unique. Shout out to somebody on YouTube who made a Wheezy tutorial that I was watching. I definitely got inspiration from them. Don't want anybody to think that I just straight up copied them. Like I said, I don't know music theory, so I just kind of arpeggiated the notes with what sounded good, and then I added a bunch of effects. The effects, I added reverb, a lot of reverb, and then I added this portal. As you'll hear, it kind of adds like a delay or like a trickle effect, and then a shaper box to make it pan back and forth. And last but not least, I have the bass right here. It's just a one shot and it sounds like this. For the effects, I just added decapitator to add some distortion and some width to it with the stereo separated all the way. Yeah, once I had all the sounds, I just arranged it with the brass half-timed at the beginning, and then the brass comes in on the second part, and then all that drops out, the key in the background, the lead, and then you just have the brass half-timed and then not half-timed with the key, and then at the end the brass comes back in not half-timed, and then I just copied that over without the bass, so the first part has the bass, second part does not. And then at the end I put all the stems as usual, so whoever uses the loop, they can either chop it up how I have it, or they can use the stems at the end to arrange it how they want. And then once I had everything arranged, I just exported it out, brought it back in, pitched it down 2 semitones like I said earlier, from G sharp to F sharp, and then I sped it up from 118 BPM to 130 BPM. I thought it just sounded better. And for the effects on the master sample, I just put an EQ to take out the low end, good hertz mid-side EQ. It's not going to show the plugin because my computer sucks, but plugin is really good for making the sample sound a lot wider. Basically what it does is you can control the EQ on the middle and the sides of the sample. Fresh air to boost some of the high end, and then soothe, which of course computer's not going to show, but soothe you can mess around with and take out a lot of unwanted frequencies. I usually use it to take out the muddiness like in the middle, the low mid, and then another EQ to take out even more of the low end. So yeah, that's how I go about making brass samples for somebody like Wheezy. Like I said, the sample's part of Flat Volume 5. 20 samples, all kind of in this style with a lot of like flute, brass, bells, pads, stuff like that. So I'll go ahead and leave a link down in the description for that if you're interested. Hopefully you learned something from this video. Hopefully you took something away. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one.